Today, we're diving into one of the great Norse tragedies, the epic story of Brynhildr. It's a tale that's just woven from defiance against the gods, the incredible weight of fate, and a love so powerful it could really only end in fire. And what's so fascinating is that it all kicks off not with some active evil, but with a fierce, unwavering sense of justice. Brynhildr's story is really a deep look at what happens when one person's principal choice challenges the entire cosmic order. So it all begins with that first defiant thread, the moment that completely seals Brynhildr's fate. This is what you might call her original sin, but really it was an act of integrity that the Allfather, Odin, just could not let stand. Okay, so here's the setup. It's pretty simple. Odin tells Brynhildr to make sure his chosen warrior wins a battle. But Brynhildr, as a chooser of the slain, looks at the two kings and sees that the other one, Agnar, is actually more worthy. So, she chooses a warrior's merit over a god's command. And for that single act of justice, she is going to pay an unbelievable price. Odin's punishment is, well, it's swift and it is absolutely brutal. He pricks her with something called the Swift Thorn, a magical sleep thorn that sends her into this enchanted, death-like sleep. He leaves her on a mountaintop, surrounds her with a wall of magical fire, and, this is the big one, strips her of her divinity. She is no longer a Valkyrie. She's mortal and a prisoner of fate. And this is a huge deal because by being made mortal, she is now subject to Urlog. Now, in the Norse world, Urlog isn't just destiny. It's this primal, unchangeable law of a mortal life. It's a path that is laid out for you, and you have to walk it, no matter how tragic it gets. Her whole story is now completely defined by this concept. But, her story doesn't end there in that magical sleep. The threads of fate, they start to weave a brand new pattern, and they bring a hero whose own defiance is a perfect match for hers, the legendary dragon slayer, Sigurd. You see, Odin's wall of fire wasn't just any fire. It could only be crossed by a man who knew no fear. And Sigurd, the great hero, he was that man. So when he awakens her, she sees him as more than just a rescuer. He is the living proof, the embodiments of the very courage she was punished for. And their connection it's just instant. It's profound. She doesn't just fall in love with him. She gives him this incredible gift, the deep wisdom of the gods. She teaches him these powerful runes for victory, for healing, for the mind. They swear these incredible oaths of love, totally believing they can forge their own path together. And to seal this incredible promise, Sigurd gives her a ring from the dragon's hoard he conquered, and Varnat. Here's the problem. What he doesn't know is that the ring is deeply cursed. This beautiful symbol of their future together, it's actually the very anchor that's going to drag them down into absolute tragedy. So we have this powerful love story set up, but now it's about to get incredibly messy. Their story is about to get tangled up in the ambitions and the dark magic of the Jukukung royal court. This is really where that golden thread of their love starts to come apart. So at the Dukung court, the queen, Grimhild, gives Sigurd a potion of forgetfulness. Now this stuff, it doesn't just wipe his memory of Brynhild, it cuts him off from his own summed, his honor, his social standing, his very identity, which is what leads him to marry the princess Gudrun. The betrayal here is it's catastrophic, and it happens in stages. First, he loses his memory, then he marries another woman, and finally, the absolute worst violation, Sigurd, magically disguised as his new brother-in-law Gunnar, rides through that wall of fire a second time to win Brynhildr for him. He conquers the woman he once loved for another man. Just imagine this. Brynhildr is now trapped in a marriage to a man she believes conquered her, living a complete lie. And every single day, that ring, and for an out, the very symbol of her true love's promise is sitting right there on her finger, a silent, mocking witness to a betrayal she can't even remember. So, for years, there's this tense quiet that just hangs over the Jukun court. But a web of lies pulled this tight, it's bound to snap. And when it does, it's going to sever every single bond of love, of loyalty, and of honor. So what finally blows the whole thing wide open? Well, the answer comes from something as seemingly small as a petty argument. Brynhild and Sigurd's new wife, Gudrun, start arguing over which of their husbands is greater. And this clash of pride, it's the spark that lights the entire funeral pyre. In a moment of pure vanity, trying to prove that her husband Sigurd is superior, Gudrun reveals the entire truth. She taunts Brynhildr, flashing the cursed ring and declaring that it was Sigurd, not Gunnar, who rode through the flames and took it from her hand. And in that one single moment, everything shatters. Brynhildr understands it all. She wasn't just conquered by a lesser man, no, she was forgotten, she was deceived, and she was traded away like a prize by the only man she had ever loved. Her grief instantly just hardens into this white-hot, uncontrollable rage. You have to understand, for a shield maiden like Brynhildr, this kind of public humiliation, the total destruction of her honor, was a wound far deeper and more painful than Odin's sleepthorn ever was. And to reclaim her dignity, her semd, she makes a truly terrible choice. She lies to her husband Gunnar, tells him Sigurd betrayed him, and she demands Sigurd's death. And her demand for vengeance? Well, that kicks off the final, bloody act. The loom of fate is now weaving the very last threads of this tragedy, and all of them are absolutely soaked in blood. So, they do it. Goaded by her lies, they murder Sigurd. But the second the deed is done, all of Brynhildr's rage just collapses into the crushing reality of what she's lost. She tells his murderers the truth, that he was innocent, and then, choosing to end things on her own terms, she takes her own life with her sword. Her only request is to be burned on the same funeral pyre as the man she both loved and destroyed. But here's the thing. Her suicide is not an act of surrender. It is not her giving in to fate. Far from it. This is her final, sovereign choice. It's a defiant attempt to take back her own story and join Sigurd in the afterlife, a place where, hopefully, they can finally be free from all the lies that tore them apart. And this just perfectly captures the Norse mindset. Later, in the underworld, when she's confronted about all the ruin she caused, Brynhildr doesn't apologize. She owns her choices. She walked the bloody path her Urlog laid out for her, and she did it with her head held high, embracing her fate right to the very end. And that leaves us with the central question of her story, doesn't it? Was she just a puppet of the Norns, a victim of a cursed ring and a god's anger? Or was she, through her fierce integrity and her terrible, powerful choices, the true architect of her own magnificent, heartbreaking tragedy? That's the paradox right at the heart of her tale.